You've been staring at your phone for 4 minutes now. The message is 2 sentences long. You've rewritten it 3 times, deleted an exclamation point, added it back, wondered if a period seems cold, and now you're questioning whether you should send it at all. It's just a text to a friend about weekend plans. But somehow, it feels like you're signing a contract you can't undo. Or maybe it happens at a restaurant. The menu has 12 options and you've narrowed it down to 2, but when the server comes by, you panic and order the third thing, the one you weren't even considering. Later, picking at your plate, you wonder why you didn't just go with your first instinct. You usually know what you want. So why does choosing feel so heavy? If moments like these sound familiar, you're not broken. You're not weak. And you're certainly not alone. The tendency to second guess, to linger in the space between options, to replay choices long after they've been made, often comes from a place most people overlook. It's not carelessness. It's care. It's a sensitivity to outcomes, a quiet awareness that decisions ripple outward in ways others might not notice. That's not a flaw. That's depth. But sometimes, that depth becomes a maze. Here's something worth naming early. Second guessing isn't always a problem. When it's rooted in your values, when it's a genuine pause to ask whether something aligns with who you are, that's not a loop. That's wisdom. And when truly new information arrives, reopening a decision makes sense. The trouble starts when there's no new information, just the same question circling back, wearing a slightly different mask. So what's actually happening when the mind loops like this? At its core, second guessing tends to emerge from a few interlocking forces. There's a heightened sensitivity to uncertainty, a discomfort with not knowing how things will turn out. There's an aversion to regret, a desire to avoid looking back and wishing you'd chosen differently. There's what some researchers call a maximizer mindset, the belief that a best option exists and your job is to find it. And underneath all of that, there's often a quiet perfectionism, whispering that making the wrong choice says something about you. These forces tangle together, and the result is a specific kind of friction. Not laziness, not avoidance, exactly. More like a motor that keeps running even after you've parked the car. And over time, that motor wears you down. But here's what most people miss. Having more options doesn't make choosing easier. It often makes it harder. When there are only 2 paths, the decision is simpler. But when there are 10, the mind starts running simulations. What if path 7 is better? What if you're missing something about path 14? The presence of abundance creates pressure, a sense that with so many possibilities, you should be able to find the perfect one. And when you can't, it feels like failure. This is where opportunity cost starts to haunt you. Every choice carries a ghost, the option you didn't pick. And sometimes that ghost follows you around, whispering about what could have been, making the path you're on feel less solid than it actually is. But here's the thing, the ghost's presence doesn't mean your choice was bad. It just means you're human, and humans notice roads not taken. There's also the way the mind tends to weigh potential downsides more heavily than upsides. A possible mistake feels louder than a possible success. So hesitation grows, not because the risks are actually greater, but because they feel more vivid. The more you compare options, the more differences you notice, and the more those differences seem to matter, even when they don't. You walk away not with confidence, but with a lingering sense that you missed something. This is where decision fatigue creeps in. Every small choice draws from the same well of mental energy. By evening, even simple things feel monumental. There's a version of this that plays out almost universally. You're online, ready to buy something small, maybe a lamp, maybe headphones. You've read 20 reviews. You refresh the page. One review mentions a flaw. Now you're not sure. You open 3 more tabs. An hour later, you close everything and buy nothing. The next day, you start again. This pattern has a shape, even if we don't always name it clearly. The attempt to eliminate all possibility of a mistake creates its own trap. When the goal is to choose flawlessly, the bar becomes impossible to clear. The mind searches for safety that doesn't exist. And when it can't find that assurance, it freezes. There's also the weight of imagined judgment. Some people carry an invisible audience into every decision. What will others think? What will they say if I get this wrong? This voice might echo a parent, a culture, a past version of yourself that was once criticized. Whatever its origin, It drowns out your own knowing. The more attention goes to that external chorus, the less trust remains for your instincts. This leads to the reassurance-seeking loop. You make a choice, then ask someone if it was right. They say yes. You feel better briefly. Then doubt returns. So you ask someone else. Or you revisit the decision internally, poking at it, reopening it even though nothing has changed. Each loop doesn't strengthen confidence. It weakens it. It teaches your brain that next time, you should check again. Post-choice replay works similarly. When you keep revisiting a decision after it's made, you're not learning. You're rehearsing doubt. Hindsight bias makes it worse. Looking back, outcomes seem more predictable than they were. You think you should have known, but you couldn't have. The story you tell yourself after the fact is a distortion, not a revelation. There's a difference between healthy reflection and avoidance loops. Healthy reflection means making a values-based decision, moving forward, and revisiting only if something genuinely changes. Avoidance loops involve reopening decisions without new information, polling friends for validation, running mental simulations that go nowhere. One is grounded, the other is spinning. So what helps? Not a formula, but maybe a few reframes. A decision is a direction, not a destiny. It doesn't lock you into a fixed future. You can adjust. You can course correct. The path unfolds as you walk it. Decisions can be experiments. You're not committing to a final truth. You're gathering information. Some experiments work. Some don't. Both are useful. There's also the idea of good enough choices. Not settling. Just recognizing that perfect is a mirage. Good enough, chosen with intention, often leads further than the endless search for best. When mental tabs pile up after a decision, you can close them deliberately, not suppress them. Just notice that continuing to review doesn't change anything. Gently close the tab. And maybe most importantly, trust the chooser more than the choice. The outcome matters less than your ability to meet it. You've handled things before. You'll handle things again. This tendency to second-guess isn't a verdict on who you are. It's a signal of how seriously you take your life. And that seriousness, when channeled, becomes discernment. The goal isn't to stop caring. It's to stop letting that care keep you frozen. You are allowed to decide. You are allowed to move forward without knowing everything. That text isn't a contract. It's just a text. This is educational, and if second-guessing is seriously affecting daily life, it may help to talk to a qualified professional. But for now, take a breath. The next choice will come, and you'll be ready. Not because you'll have all the answers, but because you never needed them in the first place.